Thank you very much for coming tonight. Obviously, it's a tremendous event, and you just heard Wyatt speak, and you can quickly see why he's accomplished what he's accomplished so far to this point in his life, and why we were eager to bring him back. Not just because he's a Hokie, but he's an accomplished Hokie with a lot of experience and a lot of things to talk about. So we're thankful for his commitment to our program, and I'm looking forward to hearing him speak in a little bit. In regards to our season, obviously we're 2 weeks away from opening day, and starting to figure out what our lineup looks like, what our rotation looks like, and as we see our specifically our pitchers get a little more action on the mound, and checking the health of some guys, and trying different combinations defensively. But it's starting to come together. I'll say this, I know that there's one thing that's really special about this group of guys, and it's how much they love the game of baseball. You can just see it at every single practice. There's teams that you need to motivate in different ways, and there's teams that motivate themselves, and their love of the game and their love for each other shows through every day of practice. So I'm pleased where we're at right now. We got a lot of work to do, and looking forward to a very successful 2016 season.
So if you had to pinpoint anything that was different from last year's team to this year's team, what makes this year's team a little better or different, I guess, from last year's team?
Well, I think the first thing that's going to jump out at you is we're going to be a little bit healthier on the mound. I think we're probably equally as talented at the front end of our. Obviously we lose Sean Kaselika, but we return 80% of our innings. So essentially, Sean is the only pitcher we lost from last year's staff. So we return all that. We return 4 guys who missed the season from injury last year, with Andrew McDonald and Tommy Stoffel, and Ryan Loria sat out because of the transfer rule, but he was also rehabbing a Tommy John surgery, kid from Louisville, and Nick Anderson. So we add those 4 players back into the mix, and we brought in what I could think is a pretty special freshman group of pitchers, and the 5 guys that we brought in. So there's a lot of depth to support the top end of the rotation. I think that's the first thing that would jump out at you. I thought last year's team was a pretty cohesive unit, but there's something a little bit different about these guys. It's like we got 35 baseball rats who just can't get enough of the game, and that's just an improvement from last year, because I never once questioned that last year, but now seeing with how these guys go about their business, it's on a different level.
With that being said, I know you're calm and cool, collected right now, but how excited does that make you for the season to come?
It makes me real excited. One of the things that was a little bit unfair, and hopefully we reap the benefits of that this year, was there were times last year that when Kit went down with mono early in the year, we were down to 9 healthy pitchers. And there were days when we would pitch whoever was available. And we were able to manage our weekends accordingly, but that left us a little bit thin on weekday games. And if you look back at our season last year, and we had a really great weekend schedule, and we held our own in every single game, and we had some really close wins and some really tough wins, but very few games were out of hand one way or the other. But that stretched us thin on Tuesday, and we'd show up at Tuesday and say, okay, who's available? And that's a tough way to live. Now, hopefully this year, with more depth, we can start putting guys into roles. And I think when you have a role that's defined, although as an athlete you may be working towards something bigger and better, that's great, but in the moment, you know what your role is, you can prepare accordingly, and we can handle our staff accordingly, like a real pitching staff. So that gets me excited. And we have a good mix of left-handers and right-handers, so in my head, in a perfect world and nobody's injured and we go in, we can go left-right from the 5th or 6th inning on and close out a game with quality arms.
Maybe it doesn't add any pressure, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I'm just asking. Does it add, I know the ACC's tough anyway, but having UVA that just won the national championship, does that add any pressure to your backyard? I know every squad's different.
No, we don't. To me, when teams in our area are succeeding, that's great for baseball. UVA's success, if you can look at it, whichever way you want to look at it, I choose to look at it. If they're doing well, we can ride that wave as well. And obviously, we had a great success against them last year when they came into town, and we were able to sweep them. So, we can sell that. Hey, this is how close our program is, that, the defending national champion came in, and we handled our business accordingly. So, no, I don't think there's any pressure there, but it certainly raises the game, and obviously it's up to us to raise ours.
Coach, can you speak to the importance of a night like this? A lot of programs don't do this, but it links the past with the present, your fans with your players, and it sort of kind of gels everybody before you get started.
Yeah, that's a great question. To me, it's a perfect time to do it. Everyone's excited about the season. But to your point about bringing in former players here, and the timing of it is perfect, because the ones who are still playing can make it before they head down the spring training. The ones who are retired or maybe never played beyond college, they make it down here. To me, when we're recruiting, I sit down with a recruit and we talk about 4 areas that I want everyone to buy into, and that's family, academics, community, and team. And I think the academics, our community, and our team speak for itself, but the family part, we want people who come through our program, obviously they're from their own family and they're from their own walk of life, but when they leave here, you want to feel like Virginia Tech is now part of your family. So to see alumni come back, the doors open, to come back, get together with old friends, meet some other players that maybe were a generation before or after them, it creates an excitement. It makes players proud of where they came from, and want them to come back even more. So that whole mix of that lends itself to be a tremendous night.